So, good afternoon. Welcome to Gugolz and Guest. Today I have with me Toby Breeden from Crystal Specialist Finance. Welcome, Toby. Good to have you on board.
No, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So, just a few questions today, just to get a bit of background from you guys and also how the market's doing at the moment. So, just to begin, how's half one of the year been for Crystal so far? Obviously, there's been a lot of purchases to beat the deadline. What other trends have you seen from your client apart from purchases?
Yeah, I think obviously it's been a very strong half to the year, to be honest with you, mate. I think the kind of demand from obviously stamp duty has obviously increased the bridging sector because we had two sets of deadlines, bang 3 months apart. I think chain break has been probably, I would say, the biggest kind of growing element because obviously, you know, term loan products, a lot of lender delays on that side of things in terms of solicitors, valuers. I think the whole market's feeling that even today, really. So I think chain break has been massive, and that's across regulated and non-regulated, really. You know, I also think the likes of heavy refurb, I think the government incentivising that with, you know, with the planning changes. I think there's a lot of kind of cash in the economy from investors. So I think, you know, you'll see people wanting to fund the works themselves as well, which is something which I'll touch on in a bit. But I think, you know, there's definitely demand to convert property into HMOs, blocks of flats to get the greater return, really, get the high yield. Yeah.
And obviously we're about a month since the stamp duty deadline has ended. Has that changed your kind of types of inquiries at all?
No, I still think we've still got the chain break ones, as I mentioned. I think they'll always continue throughout this year. I think in terms of those stamp duty deadline cases, obviously in reality, when you actually worked out the maths of it all, how much actually was savings on some of the transactions negligible, really, in terms of, you know, what they would have won lost. So those deals have pretty much proceeded. The ones that have dropped out were so heavily dependent on it that you probably only lost a few cases, and that's only a handful as well. So. No, it hasn't really impacted too much. Really.
That's good to hear. It's good to hear the market's still buoyant. So I read in the Times the other day that house prices in the UK have actually increased by about 10% over the last 6 months or so. How do you see prices playing out over the next 18 months or so? And do you think that stamp duty actually had a part to play in that growth?
$1 million question, isn't it? For me,
I think everyone wants to know the answer to that.
No, I think obviously it has grown. I think it has an element of stamp duty definitely have impacted that. There's no doubt. I think as well the demand well outweighs the supply as well in the market. You know, even if I look locally to me, your property goes on, you've probably got 10, 15 interested parties, and it's gone sold within a couple of days, probably overpriced because people have had the bidding wars, and then you know, so there's an element of artificial nature that's coming in the current marketplace. I see the next 18 months, I would expect, or I did originally believe, I think it would dip. I thought there would be a bit of an impact on the property prices, but again, in this artificial market, it seems to it keeps going against the flow of what everyone predicted. And I think as well, I think there'll be stability. I think there'll be a period of stability. And I think then there'll be, exactly. And I think there'll be a progressive growth at the back end of it. Stability could link to a bit of a dip, but again, look, if I knew that, I'd be.
I think, like you said, I think with those bidding wars that you mentioned, I think that tending to push the prices up because properties, as soon as properties come on the market in particular areas, people want them. So you never know. We'll see. Obviously, during the pandemic, which I think is one of those taboo words now. I don't think anyone really likes to use it anymore. There were a lot of cautious clients. Do you think conversions have risen since the restrictions have been lifted?
I think I've seen a lot more from first-time investors or buyers who are sitting at home with parents or a lot of cash, and they're going to try a transaction. They've read about it, they've researched about it, they see property as the way to obviously make money, whether that's from a yield basis or profit on a refurb. And you see a lot of people come to the table with limited to no experience, who've got cash to cover the deposit and do the works. And that that's what I probably saw the biggest rise over that period. And obviously there is an element of caution, and I think that's probably more from the people who had existing debts more so than anything else, to be honest with you.
I think obviously a lot of people probably saved a fair bit over lockdown as well. So
exactly that.
Cash in the bank, ready for a deposit on a new property. And we've obviously just entered the regulated market as well. That particular market just seems to be rising and rising, with people looking to buy their dream home, obviously move house and use the spare cash and then sell the current property and get something bigger. So I think there's been a lot of moving parts on that side of things. Now, obviously, there's a lot of bridging lenders in the market. I think somebody told me probably about 3 years ago there was about 250, maybe slightly more. So I think there's probably more than that. Obviously, they come in and out on a regular basis. How do you generally decide the best lender to go with? Again, another $1 million question for you.
It is, but it's very simple here. So, like, we at Crystal, we have one kind of motive on every transaction. What's the outcome? You know, we need an outcome. Now, that means, it can mean several different reasons, but the main one is, can we get the client the money they need at the time they need it? Because, you know, you've got things where pricing, criteria, property type, loan to values, using additional charges, whatever it might be, whatever the scenario is, whether it's you're solving a problem, because obviously sometimes bridging is a kind of a solution product, or whether it's the product getting you from A to B because you're a property developer or whatever it might be. It's all about understanding the customer's needs, how much they actually need to borrow. Can they work with the pricing that we can get, and are we actually going to fund it within a reasonable timescale? And I think that's how you get guided to who you pick as a lender, really, and who you work with and build relationships with. As you'll know with us, you know, we've got a strong relationship with yourselves, and you know, conversion of those deals is high because that's our relationship. We know each other, and I think that's key. I think people do business with people, and you know, that's the same from when we get a broker or customer introduced to us. You know, we work with them, we hold their hand if they haven't got the experience, and you know, we manage to package the case to what we know your appetite is, and then you know our standards, and we'd like to think then it goes on to convert at a higher rate. So it's all about the outcome. It's got to be.
I think it was spot on. I think kind of it's always client driven, unless obviously they're not in a position to obviously make a decision and they are driven towards a specific type of lender. Then it's always client driven, whether they want speed, service, flexibility, whatever it is, pricing. Then it's always down to them. And just lastly, a question I always finish on is, how would you describe MC Finance in 3 words? You can obviously use more if you wish, but no pressure.
No, not at all. Definitely service, definitely friendly. I think everyone who works there I get on with at some level to a degree, and that's fantastic to have. And I'll probably say they are converters. You know, we have a high conversion, so I think, you know, service, friendly, closers or converters, whatever you want to call it.
Fantastic, good stuff. Well, thanks for coming on today, mate. It's been a pleasure to have you here, and hopefully we can catch up soon.
Yes, mate. Catch you in a bit.
Thanks very much.